My name's Hannah Smithson. I'm based at the University of Oxford and I work on perception, so I work on visual perception mainly, and I guess my main specialism is colour perception, human colour perception. So I was involved quite early on. I was based in Durham at the time, and an email went around the science faculty saying, are there any scientists who'd be prepared to talk to medievalists about writings on natural phenomena? So I wrote back saying, yeah, I'll come along. And I turned up, and there were two of us, two scientists who turned up to that meeting. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it from the beginning, and I was lucky because one of the first treatises we looked at was one on colour. So I happened to be useful as well as excited.
Use a bonus.
Yeah. The last few days we've been involved in a workshop where we've focused on two particular treatises, and for me, I guess the science component of those is really thinking about sound. So Grosseteste's writings on sound and trying to understand the production of sound, and sounds in general, but particularly vocal sounds, so production of vowels and consonants. And I think, as with looking at all the treatises, it's just really nice as a scientist to have time to reflect on the history of your subject and the inheritance that we take from that. And it's something that kind of, in the life of a practicing scientist, you don't often have the luxury of reflecting. So you're writing the next grant, you're publishing a paper, you're trying to finish an experiment. You don't often get a chance to take a longer view and to reflect. And I think that's very healthy. I think it's good for academics and scientists to have that period of reflection. It's inspiring to think about things from a fresh perspective, and it's humbling. It's humbling to remember that you're part of a continuum of sort of human endeavour to try to understand natural phenomena. We've worked on two treatises that tackle colour. One's called De Colore, on colour, and the other's on the rainbow. And interestingly, his description of colour, particularly with reference to the colours in a rainbow, provide a perfectly adequate description of colour space, of human colour perception. And through some calculations and some simulations and some analysis of actual rainbows, we've been able to show that his description is as complete a description as many modern descriptions. But it just has a slightly different structure or a slightly different form because he starts from a different place. He starts from understanding it through rainbows. And if you look at kind of the history of understanding colour science, one of the important things in that history has been Newton's experiment with a prism. And one way to think about the difference between Grosseteste's description and the description from Newton with a prism is that a prism has straight sides, whereas Grosseteste was looking at colours produced by raindrops, which are spherical. And so a lot of the difference comes about just because of the different shape of the transparent object that has created the colours that he's trying to analyse. So it's something that's very definitely understood in terms of modern colour science, but actually a way to make us think, oh, well, what should we put as the primary axes of a colour space, for example?